Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming here, braving a talk saying outright that Agile can be very bad. So my name is Valentine, and you can learn things about me on LinkedIn, but I'll just say I both have a programming background and a stunt performance background. And for the last 12 years, I've helped people learn about Agile. And so far, I haven't killed any kitten. And this talk came about because a couple months ago, I got back in touch with a friend on LinkedIn. And he's a department head now, and I told him what I was doing. And he said, look, I'm sure what you do is good. You know, I know you. So don't take it personally, but my team going Agile will be over my dead body. And I hear those things pretty often. And I decided that it was worth investigating. But then, you know, French people are said to complain a lot. So I thought I would ask you as well about it. So I'm going to read out a few reactions to the word Agile and the word Scrum that I've heard over the years. If you have ever heard something like it, I want you to say bingo. And if it was you, or you thought about it really loudly in your head, I want you to say so much bingo. And please be loud, because it's for science. Okay? So first one, Agile is rubbish. Bingo. Thank you. Agile makes us lose so much time. The consultants, sir, cost a lot. It's stressful. It's chaos, but with Jira on top. It looks good on our website, but nothing has changed. Too many meetings, not enough coding. Not this Scrum thing again. Agile sounds great in theory, but this is real life. It's buzzwords. And the last one, Agile cannot work here. All right. So it's not only in France then. People tend to have strong reactions to Agile everywhere. And until recently, my own knee-jerk reaction as an Agile coach, as an Agile believer, to this kind of reaction was, wait, no, you don't understand. That's not Agile, right? And very often, I hear similar answers from a lot of people that do believe in Agile. The Agile coaches, of course, but not only. They will say things, I used to say things, but the rules were not followed. No, the framework's broken. That's not Kanban. The Scrum Master did it wrong. You have a bad manager. If the team really tried, it would work. Or, one of my favorites. You're not doing Scrum. You're doing dark Scrum. Do you know that one? And, you know, if you're not happy in your work, that's a proof that you're not really Agile. And all of this may be true, except for the last one, which is kind of gaslighting. So Agile makes sense. Agile is empirical, it's sustainable. I've seen it solve big problems. Bringing Agile tools to struggling teams is my job. And yet, those people are also right. You know, we could think that it's really sad after 20 years that people still misunderstand what Agile is about. But if you remember Kat's keynote from yesterday morning, maybe they don't misunderstand. Maybe that's reality. That's their reality of Agile. And their reality is Agile is something that makes their work harder. So of course, I heard some of you laugh yesterday at the Comique Agile talk. So a lot of this is familiar. I heard so much bingo. I still want to take you to the land of broken Agile. I have a reason for it. I would like to read you some answers that I got from asking real people how their Agile transition went. One of them is a developer and the other is a manager. And they wanted to stay anonymous, so I'll just say that one of them is from a big international manufacturing company and the other one is from a French software company. I don't want you to make any diagnoses. I want you to just listen. What do you feel when you hear them? So to make sure you don't forget it's not me talking, I have taken a prop, and this is my favorite hoodie, so I'm really stereotyping myself. Can you guess which person is going to talk first? So let me tell you about my Agile transition. It was a pet project of a department head, so it was like not optional. And we all did this professional Scrum Master training. The team lead did the Scrum Master certified training, and boom, we were Agile. By which I mean we had lots of new meetings, lots of talking, lots of discussing what we had talked about, and oh my, we used to spend so much time arguing about estimates. But then our managers decided to, use a metric on how agile we were. And so now we get a bonus when we deliver everything we plan. Think about that for a minute. Guess what? Now the PO blames us for playing it safe. Who doesn't want the bonus, right? We don't argue about estimates anymore. They're just really all very big. And at the same time, well, the PO gets a bonus herself when the customer is happy after the review. And the first time the customer had anything to say, she argued with them so much that now they don't bother, they always say that they're happy. So I guess, yeah, based on our metrics, we're really agile. And reality is, well, in the training they talked about openness and trust, but, well, they don't work here. Just the other day, Sam got told, if you expect an apology, maybe you're not a good fit for this team. So I'm not sure where openness and trust gets in there. Honestly, if I said I made a mistake, I would never hear the end of it. And up high, they like transparency very much as a word, but as soon as there's something to say, not so much. There's a lot of pressure to act professional and not tell anything negative to clients. So our reviews are a bit of theater, really. To be honest, most of our meetings are a bit of a theater. Like, it's not as bad as a legacy team because they all work on different technologies and different projects. So all their meetings are basically people talking one after the other. It's not so bad for us, but it's still quite bad. Nobody has time to come to our reviews. It's too complicated to invite the customers. So it's just us. We show each other what we've done. It's nice. We could be coding instead. Everyone knows it. The retrospective is probably even worse than that because we get together, we talk about all the things that we cannot change about the teams at headquarters, the one we deliver everything to and the one we have all this problem with, and we can't do anything about it. but they're in headquarters, we're in a different country. So if we were really self-organizing, that like the framework says and Agile says, we'd have stopped doing that a long time ago. So, how did it feel listening to that? Tired? Did some of you think, oh my word, this is just us? Did some of you feel kind of lucky that it was not that bad at your place? Yeah. So what I hear from that is it's heavy, it's tiring, it's a lot of junk on top of my real work, and there's a total lack of meaning. There's no coherence, all right? So let's see what the manager has to say. This time I'm not stereotyping myself. She had the exact same one. Does that work? So I really want my teams to be more autonomous, to improve their processes by themselves, to show some initiative. I didn't see much of that. And I thought Agile was such a great idea. I wanted to do it right, so I sent everyone to this famous course, the one in the mountains with the wine tastings in the evening. And we recruited the certified Scrum Masters, and they went Agile, and I knew it would take time, but it feels so chaotic. They talk about new problems that they have at every sprint. And they always say that they don't have time to finish, they don't have time to improve. I hear a lot more complaining than before. And meanwhile, my boss is, of course, breathing on my shoulders because she would want to see the benefits from Agile that we talked about before the transition. The marketing, they don't understand why they can't ask, well, when the Scrum Master says no, when they ask for someone to write their white paper. And of course, that's last minute, but that's the business. So I think, yes, you have to follow the framework, you have to follow the values, but you also have to be realistic. Everyone knows that the CEO only said yes to the Agile transition and to the Scrum thing because all our competitors are doing it as well, and so we have to do it. Also, I understand the point of Agile, but most of our customers sign for 5 years, and the government agencies, to be really honest, that doesn't really matter that the users are happy. We're going to get paid anyway. It's not like they have the choice to change. And so, yes, I think it's quite important to go more towards agility. But one thing that bothers me was we took the POs from the business analysts, of course. They're the one who knows about the product. But they used to be able to write requirements before the project started. So they worked on several projects at a time. Now they have to be available for the team for the whole duration of the project. And I can see they're overworked. I can see that there's a lot of tension for them. And honestly, I don't understand why it became so much more difficult to write requirements while it was supposed to be more efficient. And the lack of visibility, well, I talked about that, but I tried to go to their demo. I really tried, but that's 6 of them in one day. And honestly, I can't spend that much time or ask the sales manager and the other managers to come with me to listen to so many technical details. And so I asked for metrics instead, and so I asked for the percentage of stories that were completed during this sprint or for the whole of the project. And about half my Scrum Masters give me something. I'm not quite sure if it's the right thing. And the other half tell me that it's not agile. And they also tell me that it's not agile for me to attend a retrospective, which I think I could add value to because I actually know about process improvement. But instead, I am supposed to watch from afar and, maybe hint subtly at the Scrum Master and be reply that's not agile. So for me, I'm not sure we're better off than before. At least before I knew where I was going. But I suppose I'll just wait for the appraisal next year to ask everyone individually how they are. So again, how did that feel? Again, louder, please. Realistic. All right. I don't know how many managers we have, but do you understand a bit better? Do you think the manager is right to be unhappy about that and frustrated? Yes? The thing is, well, that's what they know about Agile. That's what they've lived in their previous experience, maybe. And you might want to ask, okay, very good. There was 2 different disasters. Where were the Agile coaches? And why did they let this mess happen? Well, Agile coaches, and I include the Scrum Masters there, and external coaches, they're often asked to put up with an existing context with a lot of decisions already made. For example, the budget, the recruitment, some deadlines sometimes, sometimes even the training, sometimes a framework. Yeah, you hire a SAFe coach because you've decided on SAFe, because the consultant earlier told you you need SAFe coaches because SAFe is good for you. And the coach has to deal with whatever context they have. And in my experience, if the coach rocks the boat too much, well, they change the coach. And often the coach has no access to the executives, to the top management. And that means no occasion to talk about vision and shared value and posture and all these essential things. Basically, one client told me once that the coach's job was to keep the tractor running. And I think what he meant by that was definitely not choose the brand of tractor, definitely not decide of the date of harvest, not challenge the use of pesticides or whether to use irrigation or nothing like that. Please avoid stopping the tractor for maintenance as well. So I think there's a bit of frustration on the coach's side as well because of this lack of levers to change the situation or these huge constraints. So what do we do now? What do we do? Because we have these disastrous experiences. We have these people who have been burned by something they think is agile. And how do we get them to try again? How do we include them in something new? First, let's stop telling them that they're wrong. Again, I'm going to quote Kat in the keynote. When we do that, we're denying them the expertise of their lived experience. They're experts, and as experts, they may be rational when they don't want to try again, and when they do everything they can to block the next agile transition. I mean, it's a valid thing to do when it's been so horrible before. So in Lean, there's this very important concept that's up here called Kaizen, which is the smallest step forward. And the more reluctant people are, the more they're dragging their feet, the smallest the steps should be. That's what we need. Down the line at some point, yes, some of these steps might be called agile, but who cares about what it's called? What we need to do is we need to show them that things can move in the right direction. Depending on where we stand in the organization, we will show it in different way. To stay simple, I will give 3 mind maps with 3 different levels. Of course, it's more complex and interesting than that. So first level, when I say management, I mean top management, executives, all right? And of course, the first one is culture. Culture, the coherence of the culture, as was said just a few minutes ago here. A mindset change will only happen when all layers of management live the agile values, live the values that we want to see. Coherence is key, and we can have small steps on that too, and we need to, because, I mean, if there were problems before, you probably won't see a complete culture change in a day. But what is a real measure of success in the company? What does it mean in terms of agility if, as we heard before, we don't really care about customer satisfaction? What do we care about, and how to be agile in that environment? And then next, if you have managers that have been victims of agile before, they need to be trained. Of course, they should be trained anyway, but it's even more true if they oppose agile. They need an agile training, an agile management training, and they need to be supported. And whether this support comes from a community attending conferences like this, top management validation, or mentoring from agile managers, it needs to happen. So, because a manager against agile will definitely stop the team from being agile. And last, we need to stop teaching the teams that in agile, we don't need no managers anymore, because that can be toxic and undermining. You have to be consistent, okay? Either you don't need managers anymore, and then get rid of the hierarchy. Have some, horizontal organization. Or, well, give your managers a proper support role, where they are part of the team, they share the values and the goals of the team, and they have the right posture, which means, as another speaker said yesterday, it means clear responsibilities between a manager, a coach, and a Scrum Master. I want to talk about how we do that. It's not every day that I can convince top management to learn more about Agile and spend a few hours, looking at this weird thing the software teams are doing. Usually I push my luck because I make them play Lego or card games. There was this seminar I organized with all the most expensive suits in the company. There was HR, marketing, sales, the head of manufacturing, software, and the CEO. And I mixed them with team members, and we played a game called Jedi 21. It's a variation of blackjack, except it's really an excuse to talk about communication, about autonomy, about people's different relationship to risk. And we also played other games, and the point was to introduce discussions about metrics, about risk management, about value management, things that they were really interested about. And they didn't become agile overnight, but they didn't think the software teams were being weird either. The agile values were actually something that could be shared with all the departments of the company. And it meant at least that manufacturing was going to be or the relationship between manufacturing and software was going to be a lot smoother. Now, quickly to another level, when I say coaches, I mean line managers, internal, external coaches, scrum masters, the people who are going to look for how to make people change. And the first thing is to really listen and to, rather than rejecting the objections, rejecting the difficult conversation of how Agile is rubbish, use these objections. If someone is completely against Scrum, but very big on code quality, very good. That's material. That's one direction you can take towards more agility. And that means we circle back to the why, not the framework, but why are we going Agile? Why is this particular team going Agile? What are the benefits? And I'm not talking about the benefits of Scrum. I'm talking the benefits of, using automation with Slack whenever the design system is updated. Something small that makes sense for this particular team. And last but not least, and I'm going to go fast because I could talk about that for hours, it must be safe to fail. We've heard that a lot in the last 2 days. It must be safe to experiment. Do you know a very, very good way to kill the motivated, curious kitten within someone? Just punish them for trying. And I think you all know that. So we need small, safe steps and spaces to practice with low stakes, and possibly spaces to experiment through games. I'm a very big believer. I like games. I love games because they have rules, they have clear goals, they have usually clear, explicit metrics to know if you're winning or not, or closer. And people have fun, and when they have fun, they learn better. And Agile is adaptation, adaptation is learning. The Agile Manifesto says we uncover new ways of developing software, that's learning. And people don't learn when they're under stress. So I don't think I have time to talk about a retrospective right now. I'm going to, so please come to see me afterwards, because that's one of the big ways, of course, that you can make small experiments. But I want to talk about review rehearsals. One or two coaches pretended to be stakeholders and did a rehearsal of the review. And at first, well, they had to realize that the stakeholders, the real ones, had to be very polite because they didn't understand any of the technical stuff, any of the code that the developers were showing to them. And so the first thing was, okay, can we make a demo? Can we make something that is going to have benefits for the people that attend the review? And this led to conversations during the sprint, and conversation that led the PO to go back to the stakeholders and ask about the benefits, so they could prepare the next one. But when we did the next one, we had another problem, because the stakeholders now had something that they were interested in front of them, so they gave feedback. And we heard about feedback in Kerry's talk earlier, and the team got hugely defensive, like their livelihood was on the line, like their survival was on the line. And so we did more rehearsal to work on something really hard, which is when you get feedback, you say, thank you. And you say, can I learn more about it? So we practiced, and it's a really hard skill to accept that the feedback is not about you, and to ask open questions about it. But once they had practiced it, it became hugely different during the the actual reviews, and the stakeholders' relationship was completely changed. Suddenly there was a reason to have a review because there was a conversation. So my next slide is probably my biggest one, but I'm out of time. The last set of levers are internal to the team, and I include the product owner in that. But the key here is that Agile requires a lot of new skills, and nobody loves being in out of their comfort zone. So lots of new skills. We need to value the fact that we need to learn them, whether they are technical skills on the right, whether they're non-technical skills about communication, about decision-making, about working together. We need to learn them, again, safely. But engineering is the heart of a software team's job. Doing a daily meeting every day will not make the team more agile. Splitting the stories, like we heard before, will make the team more agile. And that's something that people have to practice. So I am not going to talk about all my anecdotes because I don't want to steal time because it will make lunch later. But I want to talk about this team of experts. No, sorry, let me change my mind. I want to talk about the elephant carpaccio because we heard about it yesterday. I want to talk about this guy. So elephant carpaccio, we slice very thin slices, and there's this workshop where you slice hugely thin slices, and then you have 8-minute sprints to implement them. And one of the guys doing the workshop was so dead set about Agile, and he said, it's absurd. Like, we're going to spend 2 hours doing that. All the planning, all the talking, all the slicing, and the sprints and the review, I could do it in 20 minutes. But then the first review showed that he had completely misunderstood, or had made assumptions that were wrong about the product. So yes, he could have done something in 20 minutes, maybe, but it would have been the wrong product. And when the light came on, well, this guy didn't become an Agile advocate, but he suddenly understood that he had been completely wrong about what a review was for and what slicing was for. So the reality of Agile is not great for everyone. And in fact, sometimes it's so bad, it kills the kitten of enthusiasm and natural curiosity and this very fragile kitten of our ability to adapt by trying something new. So let's save those kittens. Let's give people skills rather than set roles. Let's give people outcomes to reach for rather than frameworks. Let's give them small steps rather than the mythical agility. And I would call that adaptation of a plan. And let's make sure we create a safe culture of learning. And who knows, you know, it will work to bring back people from the land of broken Agile, and it might work for everyone else as well. Thank you.